I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all of this. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, seal my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no giving. Some days I don't hit, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, down, wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. Plus a family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket, Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit, nose diving in the house and woo. Watch out, get ahead, watch out, get ahead, watch out, get ahead.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC Vegas 86. We got Joe Pyfer going against Jack Hermansson. We have another card that is in the Apex, a 14-fight card. And surprisingly, all fights have stayed on. Everybody survived the weigh-ins. We did have a couple guys miss weight, ended up making weight. I think it was Daniel Marcos missed weight by a quarter pound, as did Darius Flowers, but they both ended up making the weight. The only person to officially miss weight was Ihor Pateria, who was coming down a weight class on short notice, so that was kind of to be expected there. But yeah, all 28 fighters still on the card. Lots of fights to talk about. Before we get into it all, if you guys can please do me a couple favors, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. This show is sponsored by PrizePicks. Put out some PrizePicks content throughout the week. If you guys are new to PrizePicks and want to check it out, use promo code DFSBTN and you'll get yourself a 100% deposit match up to $100. And now's a great time to sign up if you haven't already, because they do have a free square for the Super Bowl on Sunday. I think it's Mahomes more on the 0.5 passing yards. So you can pair that up with something for UFC this week there. All right. So yeah, 14 fights to talk about. I don't have all my action in yet. I only have bets on 2 different fights, but there are some spots that are sticking out. We'll talk about all of those. We'll talk about the card from a Draftkings perspective, and then we'll touch on the weigh-ins a little bit more. We got Bill, first one in the building. What is up, Bill? Happy Friday to you. Parlay Patton in the building as well. We got Gitdar saying bonjour. What is up, Gitdar? Choke. Jenna Marie, got 2 hours to go at work. Let's go. There you go. Almost done. Almost done. Love to hear it. We got Andre. Hey, Brady, good to be here just in time. My favorite breakdown once again. Thank you for hanging out, Andre. Intense face-offs. Yeah, there were some intense face-offs, that's for sure. Hulk or Taporia? Well, you will have to find out Sunday. I'll be getting out my breakdown video on Sunday. I haven't looked into the fight yet, but these odds for the Taporia fight are kind of crashing down. It looks like a lot of money's coming in on the Taporia side. You're not going to get me there, MK. You're not going to get me there. 1 hour early this week. Yeah, I have a birthday party to get to at 5:30, so bumped it up an hour. Last week was rough. Yeah, it was tough. I didn't hit many bets, but I hit Molly McCann by sub and then Charles Racky by KO. So ended up being a winning night for me, but got a lot wrong as well. But I was happy to come out alive. I mean, last week's card was just a landmine, and this one kind of feels the same way. So going to be trying to tread light-ish on this card because a lot of these fights, especially the prelims, are sketchy. Pissed off. Quinones lost last card. I had him in quite a few parlays, money line. I guess a lot of money was coming in on him, and it wasn't good for someone. Yeah, I thought it was a close fight. I thought you could have scored the fight for Quinones. I wasn't really paying attention to the fight. I was doing a workout during it, but from what I saw, it was just very close and competitive. Didn't have any action on it, so I wasn't paying too close of attention. But it was a fun fight from what I could saw from C. We got Samuel saying, what's up, Brady? I've been on a losing streak lately. I need some good DFS picks. Yeah, it's been a tough couple cards. I know some people got just wrecked last card. I almost got wrecked. I mean, if it wasn't for Molly McCann and Charles Racky, it would have been the worst week of my life, but luckily they come through. Urbina ruined my parlays. Yeah, Urbina looked horrible, dude. I don't know what was up with him. Like, I picked Charles Racky and I picked Racky by KO, but Urbina looked like it didn't even belong in there with Charles Racky. It was quite fascinating matchup there. But all right, guys, we got a lot to talk about. Enough of the crap card last week. We got another crap card to talk about in UFC Vegas 86. And we are going to kick it off with Daniel Marcos going against Arichi Long. We have Daniel Marcos. Yeah, a lot of money has come in on Daniel Marcos throughout the week. He's currently minus 265, Arichi Long plus 225. Nothing really sticking out here from a betting perspective. I think Marcos does win this fight. In terms of a parlay piece, I'm staying away from the parlays this week, but if I was to, make a parlay, he probably would be in there. I just think he's the more skilled fighter. The only concern I have is I think this fight does go to decision, does go the full 15 minutes. So it's going to be in the hands of the crooked, corrupt, blind judges. So that's always scary. And Marcos did like I said, missed weight by a quarter pound, ended up making the weight. So didn't look like he had the best weight cut. But yeah, he's just so much better than Arichi Long. I guess maybe Arichi Long could go out there and potentially wrestle a little bit. He is training at Fight Ready. Maybe they have a good game plan for him. But, I think Marcos should have the takedown defense to keep it upright, do the better work on the feet, and win a decision. Marcos by decision's the pick. Nothing really sticking out from a betting perspective. If I was to bet this, though, Marcos by decision would kind of be that bet, or Marcos third round decision as well, just in case he does get a late finish. We got Guitar saying Marcos by decision. You're right there with you. I think decision is definitely most likely. AK with the oi. What is up, AK? I hope Marcos can be Zahabi. Yeah, I mean, that would be wild. Arichi Long, it still makes no sense to this day. Arichi Long, 36 fights or 35 fights, had never been knocked out. And then Ayman Zahabi knocked him out in like the first 60 seconds. It was incredible. We got my guy Ben becoming a member for 4 months. Appreciate you, Ben. He says, let's get this money. Let's get it. Let's try to find some spots. But yeah, nothing sticking out on this first fight of the card. Moving on, we got Hyder Emil going against Fernie Garcia. We got Hyder Emil was sitting around like minus 180 for a second. He's now minus 195. We have a guy in Emil who is coming in here off the Contender Series, a very lackluster Contender Series performance. What I will say about Emil is I do think he's much, much better than his, fight on the Contender Series did show. I thought that was a horrible fight. One of the worst fights of the year. Both guys were completely gassed out, but this is a much different matchup, right? Like his opponent on the Contender Series shot 23 takedowns. Fernie Garcia probably isn't going to wrestle at all. It's just not his game. Maybe he tries to, but I doubt it. I think these guys are going to strike for 15 minutes. And I like Emil as a fighter. It's just he's not really somebody I want to go out there and lay minus 195 on, to be honest. I do think he has some flaws defensively, especially. He's willing to eat one to give one. And, Fernie Garcia, he is 0-3 in the UFC, but he's losing to guys that are going to take him down. And that's not entirely Emil's game. I feel like Emil maybe gets a takedown here or there, but I primarily do expect these guys to stand and strike for 15 minutes. So I like Emil here. Nothing really sticking out from a betting perspective. I think a lot could go wrong laying minus 195 on this guy, but I'm going to pick him to win. What I do like, though, from a prize picks perspective is they have the Hyder Emil significant strikes. Last I checked, I think it was around like 54.5. I like the more there because this is a guy in Emil who actually landed only 1.73 strikes per minute on the Contender Series. Again, that was a much different match. If you go and watch any other fight of Emil, and he's coming forward throwing just an incredible amount of volume. And so I like the prize picks more for the significant strikes. And then also like Emil for DraftKings as well, because this is a guy that if he does win this fight, which he is favored to, Fernie's on a 3-fight skid, coming in here on short notice up a weight class. I think Emil's going to score very well. Just the amount of volume this guy throws, the amount of pressure he brings to the table. I think at 8,700, he can put up a big score. So from a DraftKings perspective, I like Emil. I like Emil more on significant strikes from a prize picks perspective, but from a betting perspective, not much is sticking out. Maybe like a decision prop maybe, but even then I don't love it. So not touching these first 2 fights of the card. Fight ends at round 3. I was thinking maybe like an Emil late finish round 3, but I don't know. They got Ihor fight ends in a TKO for a parlay piece. Yeah, I'd be shocked if it ended any other way. I think I was looking at that. It was like minus 500 something though. So chalky, but yeah, I'd be shocked if it ended any other way. What's up, Brady? Hope you're doing good. Did you hear about the Umar fighting news? Yes. Weird fight announcement. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head, but um, it just feels like it's going backwards, right? But yeah, that was kind of weird to me. This fight is a skip for sure. Yeah, a couple of the prelims, I'm definitely fine with skipping from a betting perspective. What kind of burned me last week was just betting on like the Holy Stoliarenko fight, betting on some of these other fights that I just don't need to be involved in. And yeah, a couple of these are some of those. We'll move on to Zach Pauga going against Bogdan Guskov. For the Emil Garcia fight, yeah, I'd be shocked if anybody got finished in the first 7.5 minutes. Let's see what that is. The over under minus 435. That's chalky, but it is what it is. If you're looking for a parlay piece that hits, that probably hits for you. Rinya's fighting next week. Burn me on the inside of the distance, but he's a monster. Yeah, I actually taped that fight today against Carlos Vera, and yeah, he's minus 800, and I think that probably gets even wider. Can't wait for Rinya Nakamura, a guy that I'm very high on. Yo, Brady, how's it going? Excited for this card? I'm excited for every card, LJ. Excited for every card. Some cards more than others, but yes, I'm excited for sure. And I'm definitely excited again for Zach Pauga against Bogdan Guskov. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. We got a pretty closely lined fight here. We got like minus 118 for Pauga right now, minus 102 for Guskov. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, a spot that is sticking out here is Bogdan Guskov round 1, but my concern with that is I just have a feeling that Zach Pauga is just going to do everything in his power not to stand at range with this guy, which why should he? I feel like it's going to look a little bit like the Jordan Wright fight where, why would you stand and trade at range with Jordan Wright? Push him against the cage, wear on him, get him tired, get him extended. So, yeah, I mean, I think Bogdan Guskov, if he does win it, comes by first round knockout, which is plus 310. I don't think it's the worst price in the world, considering I do think Paug is a little bit shinny. But again, my concern is, how many opportunities is Guskov going to have if Paug is able to A, hold him against the cage, or B, take him down. So I'm not sure I really want to get there. If I do, it's going to be extremely small because I don't trust either of these guys. Bogdan Guskov definitely got some fraud vibes off of him in his last fight against Volkan Oezdemir. And that line was like fairly close, believe it or not. I think Volkan was opened up around like minus 150, hanging around minus 150 against Guskov. This is a massive step down. It's just I still don't trust the guy. He does hit hard, but that's about it. He doesn't have the best cardio. So yeah, I think it's Bogdan early, Pauga late or decision. It's hard to say if Pauga is going to be able to finish this guy or not because not finishing Jordan Wright was just incredible. So the fight doesn't go as minus 325. I hate it just because I don't think Pauga has much of an urgency. Only a 17% finish rate from Pauga. So yeah, might just be another fight that I do pass on from a betting perspective. From a Draftkings perspective, that's a different story. I think Bogdan Guskov, 7,800. Like if he wins, I do think it's a first round finish. And at 7,800, I like that. And then even Pauga, like 8,400, he has some control time upside, some takedown upside, and then also some finish upside in his own right if Guskov does death gas after the first couple minutes, which I kind of think is going to happen. So nothing that I'm really running to the window for, nothing I really feel like I need to go out there and force something here. The last thing I would do is bet on really either. I'm just not a big fan of either of these guys. I just don't think they're that great. So the pick is Guskov by first round knockout. Guskov KO1 is something I thought about, but I don't even think I'll be getting to that, to be honest. These prelims are kind of gross. Yeah, there's some fun fights. It's just from a betting perspective, I'm not so sure, much is sticking out here on a lot of these prelims. Like I'm looking forward to the next fight we'll talk about, Wells Griffin. That's a very high level fight. Probably should be on the main card. But yeah, a couple of these other fights aren't not too excited about. Watched how Guskov KO'd his opponents in round 1, and they were so open for the hit. They basically gave out the victory for Guskov. Yeah, true, right? Whereas with Pauga, it'd be smart, and I think he's probably going to do it. It's going to be smart to push this guy against the cage, take him down, and yeah, don't let him hit you in the face, right? So that's the only reason I'm probably not going to get to the round 1 knockout. is because I feel like Pauga is going to do everything in his power not to exchange with this guy. Zach Pauga fights finish me in the first round. My gosh, by boredom, minus 2,000. Hoping Bod KOs him. I hope so as well. Yeah, Zach Pauga fights, they're kind of rough to watch. Kind of a clash of styles here. You got a one-round KO artist and Guskov versus Zach Pauga, who has the worst finish rate on the entire UFC roster. I mean, 17%. It doesn't get any lower than that. Pauga by boring cage pushing. Yeah. I mean, that's probably his path to victory. Boring cage pushing type decision. Maybe he gets a finish just because Guskov's extremely tired. You never know. I was looking at the Pauga late props. They're not good. I mean, they're all over it. I think Pauga round 3 is 1,200. Round 2 is like 600. Nothing good enough for me. Zach Pauga, less fantasy score on Prize Picks. Book it. I don't hate that. And then also somebody commented on my Prize Picks video, the Zach Pauga less on significant strikes. I don't hate that as well, just because, like we've been talking about, he shouldn't exchange with Guskov at distance. And if he does, he's probably getting knocked out. Finish only for Guskov. I think you're assuming there. Yeah, somebody on my Discord brought up the finish only, which I think it's about a pick'em. The only concern, man, is like Guskov, his cardio is so bad. Like Guskov could very well gas out in 3 minutes, and although Pauga isn't a finisher, like Guskov could literally finish himself. Is the thing. So it's sketchy, man. This one's sketchy. Yep, I mean that's what he's gonna do. He's just gonna rush in and try to take off the head of Pauga. Last week, I picked McCann money line instead of over 1.5 based on your opinion, and that saved my core parlay things. Hey, glad to hear. Yeah, Molly McCann by sub saved my butt last week. And then also had Molly McCann inside the distance. So, and that was like plus 285, and then the sub was plus 850. So yeah, Molly McCann came through, man. Like shout out to Molly McCann. Think Iori's a live dog. Maybe like it's a fight that I think goes 15 minutes. The judges are crooked and corrupt, and everybody's parlaying Marco. Like Marcos is probably the most popular parlay piece on the card, and I don't even think it's close this week. So maybe there's some shenanigans on the judges' scorecards. Maybe Iori can wrestle, fight ready guy. I think he's somewhat live. I just don't think. I just think Marcos is so much better than Arichi Long that I got to go Marcos, but I'm not playing the Marcos money line at minus 265. That's for sure. I noticed that as well. Arichi Long did look bigger than Marcos, and Marcos looked like he had a tough cut. There's a few fights on this card you shouldn't bet. This is one, Johnson and probably Ihor fight 2. Unfortunately, LJ, I will probably have a bet on the Johnson fight. Terrifying, but there is some spots sticking out there. Just terrifying. Moving on, we got Jeremiah Wells going against Max Griffin. This is probably like one of the highest level fights on the card. You obviously got the main event, Piper Hermanson, Danny Gay Feely. Tavares Rodriguez is solid. But you have, two guys. You have Max Griffin, who's been in the UFC for a while now, tons of fights. You have Jeremiah Wells, who's looking very good in the UFC. This is a high level fight. Two guys that are very good, and I like both guys here. For me, it's a dog or pass. I'm leaning, a little bit more towards the pass here, and here's why. Max Griffin, I think, is probably the most popular dog of the week. I think it's maybe between him and maybe Guskov or Flowers, but I've seen a lot of love for Max Griffin. This line has came down quite a bit. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons like Max Griffin. Max Griffin's the more experienced fighter. He's the bigger fighter. He's fought the much better competition. I think he's going to win a lot of minutes at range. I think he's the better striker with more volume. But on the flip side, he's going against Jeremiah Wells, and sometimes there's just guys that you don't really want to bet against, and that's kind of Wells for me. The reason being is I don't think he's the most technical striker, but what he does throw is he throws bombs on the feet. And I don't think he's the best wrestler, but he's so physically strong that he can just pick you up and slam you down. So, yeah, it's a fight that I think, honestly, I think it plays out closely. I think on the feet, you're going to have Max Griffin doing the better work in terms of the numbers. You're going to have Jeremiah Wells maybe landing the bigger shots. But, I also think that Wells can potentially wrestle here and win minutes. It wasn't too long ago where Tim Means did take down Max Griffin a couple times, and I don't think Max Griffin has bad takedown defense by any means, but he also doesn't have like elite takedown defense where I think he's going to be able to stuff all these takedowns. So I think it's a close fight. I was looking to see where like the Max Griffin plus 3.5 point spread would be at. It's like minus 140. Like I don't hate that. I think he can win at least a round. I'm just not sure if he wins the fight. I think it could be close though. So yeah, I probably should be betting the dog, but like I said, I mean, Wells is a guy that he's knocked out durable fighters before. He was I think he was the first guy to knock out Court McGee. Could he knock out Max Griffin, who's now 38? Maybe, but I'm gonna take Griffin with just like no confidence, and I'll pick him to win by decision. From a DraftKings perspective, maybe some Max Griffin. I think he's a live dog, 7,700. It's just I'm not sure he has a ton of finishing upside. I don't really think he has any wrestling upside here, so not really in love with it. Not really in love with this fight from any perspective other than as a fan. I think as a fan, this fight's awesome, but just don't really see any way to get involved. From a prize picks perspective, they have the takedowns set at 1.5 for Jeremiah Wells. You would think the game plan would be to wrestle, like that should be the game plan. And if he does wrestle, I think he will get takedowns. So I kind of like the more on takedowns on prize picks for Jeremiah Wells. So that's probably where my action's going this week. Wells by a wet blanket wrestle decision. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could see a couple different outcomes in this fight, and that's one of them. This guy's so physically strong. Like, he can get guys to the mat, no problem. Andre likes Griffin here. Oh, he loves Griffin here. Griffin is a very decent fighter. Yeah, he is. One of my favorites. I don't know about a finish, but Griffin definitely gives his all to win, and I hope he does win. It's a close fight. I mean, if I was to bet this fight, it would be on Griffin as well, but it's not something I'm in love with this week. Wells is going to hurt Griffin. Maybe. I mean, this guy hits like a truck. I mean, I was shocked when, and I was there live. I was shocked when Wells just flatlined a guy as tough and durable as Court McGee. So it could happen with the way Wells is throwing out there. Yeah, both guys definitely fight for your money. Best confidence pick after seeing the weigh-ins. I don't even know, dude. Like, I don't think there's one fighter like I'm extremely confident in this week. Because, I like Piper, but, what happens if it gets to the third round? I like Dan Ige. Okay, Dan Ige might be it. Maybe Gregory Rodriguez. Definitely not Michael Johnson. Definitely not Rodolfo Vieira. Definitely not Carlos Praches. Loma, no, especially after weigh-ins. Loma looked like 2 weight classes below Brazil. Devin Clark, absolutely not. Max Griffin, absolutely not. Guskov, absolutely not. Emil, no. Marcos, maybe. It's between Marcos, Ige, or Gregory Rodriguez, one of those three. If I had to pick one, I guess Rodriguez. Vet lesson could be in play. Very good. Max Griffin has a great takedown defense, a great get-up game as well. Nobody's really been able to take him down and hold him down besides Colby Covington. Yeah, that was wild. Show us your feet. No, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I had a bet on that fight, but I'm sure a lot of people had that over, and it would make a ton of sense. And he just flatlined McGee in like 60 seconds. It was wild. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have Devin Clark versus Marcin Prachnio. Devin Clark, his money line has been getting hammered all week. Believe it or not, Devin Clark opened up minus 130. He's currently minus 230. Marcin Prachnio opened up plus 110. He's currently plus 195. It's weird, like seeing Devin Clark as a favorite in general, but I mean, seeing him at minus 230 is like it's incredible. Devin Clark's typically somebody you want to bet as an underdog or just bet against him. So yeah, I mean, the reason he's a favorite is because he has a clear path to victory, and he's going against Marcin Prachnio. Marcin Prachnio's takedown defense is atrocious, sitting at 54%. His cardio is atrocious. I don't think he's even that dangerous on the feet, to be honest. So yeah, Clark should be fine here. It's just the fact of laying minus 230 on Devin Clark is very terrifying. But yeah, he should win this fight. A spot that I was maybe thinking of for this one is like maybe like the Clark round 2, round 3 props. They're kind of over them. Like, I feel like we should be getting much better prices, but I think it's because like Prachnio's just shown just terrible cardio. I mean, showed horrible cardio in the Petrino fight, showed very horrible cardio in the Philippe Lins fight. Like, that fight could have been stopped if Philippe Lins would have, had cardio himself and, stepped on the gas a little bit more in that second round. So that's it, if anything. Like Devin Clark, round 3 plus 1,200. Even that, it's like, I don't know. Relying on Devin Clark to finish anybody is not something I really want to do. But if he's going to finish somebody, it is going to be Marcin Prachnio. So late props for Clark, if anything. Other than that, this is a total pass for me. From a DraftKings perspective, I'm not touching Prachnio. Maybe some Clark, just because of the wrestling upside. But even that, I'm not too excited about. How do you not sprinkle the dog here? Yeah, I will never in a million years bet on Marcin Prachnio. But yeah, I mean, you have to dog or pass. Just because you can't lay minus 230 on Clark. Do I think he wins? Yes, but just laying minus 230 on Clark is just disgusting. Dog or pass? I'm more so on the pass side myself. Jeremiah Wells failed me last time, but I'm even more confident in him here. Yeah, he was going against Carlson Harris last time. He looked good. He was dominating that fight. Just dominating that fight up until that third round. He got caught. Carlson Harris is a very good fighter. UFC seems to hate Max Griffin. I don't know about that. This is an awful matchup for him at this point in his career. Very little upside. Doing tape study for this fight made me wonder what I'm doing with my life. Yeah, I mean, it was rough, man. It was very rough. Weird matchmaking here. This is typically two guys that the UFC uses to build other guys up. Like, you give Devin Clark a Kennedy and Nzechukwu, you give Marcin Prachnio a Vitor Petrino. You want to build guys up off of these guys, and they're putting two fades against each other. How much would it cost you to spar with Sean Strickland? Yeah, I saw a clip of Sneeko and Sean Strickland sparring, and he got beat up bad. How much would it cost me? Or how much would I need to get paid? I'd do it for $1,000. $1,000 sounds fair. But yeah, poor Sneeko, man. That was Sean Strickland shows no remorse in there. Philippe Lins was out wrestling Prachnio quite easily. So what's Devin going to do to him? Just that. Snoozer of a fight. I'm betting the over. Over should hit. But I do think Clark late finishes in play. Forgot to mention, Ihor looked like Kaka on the scale. Not sure if you mentioned. I will be mentioning it. I will definitely be mentioning it. That fight is somehow, some way on the main card. All right, guys, we're going to keep moving on. We got Loma Luke Bumi going against Bruno Brazil. And we have Loma's the biggest favorite on the card. Like, what could go wrong, right? Like, I laid minus 250 or so, believe it or not, on Loma Luke Bumi against Elise Reed. And she literally lost the first round to Elise Reed. She got reversed and controlled on the mat. It was terrifying to watch, to be honest. Luckily, she was able to submit Elise Reed in the second round, but still, after that fight, I'm like, I'm never laying anywhere near this price tag on this fighter again. And I like Loma. I like Loma quite a bit, but she's minus 300. And if you guys saw the weigh-ins, like, Bruno Brazil looks 2 weight classes bigger than Loma. So, I mean, what are you going to do here? I mean, nothing's really sticking out. I guess what's interesting to me is, like, the fight goes to decision is only minus 150 on some books, minus 180. Like, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I know Brazil's been knocked out in all 3 of her losses, but Loma's not knocking anybody out, you wouldn't think. And I don't think she's submitting Bruno Brazil. Bruno Brazil has never been submitted, and she's not Elise Reed. So yeah, I think this fight does go over, does go the distance. Minus 300 on Loma, no thank you. But at the same time, how can I bet Brazil, who just looks lost out there, in the UFC thus far? It looks like she has no urgency. She doesn't throw anything. She looks like a completely different fighter, because Brazil's actually she looked great on the Contender Series. She looked great outside of the UFC. But she gets to the UFC and she just looks like a completely different fighter. I don't know if the big lights are getting to her or what, but so yeah, I mean, it should be Loma. Loma, with the more volume, Loma with the wrestling upside if she needs it, and Loma by decision, but minus 300, a lot could go wrong in a fight that I think is going the distance. So Loma decision, nothing sticking out from a betting perspective, a DraftKings perspective, or any perspective of that matter. I'm staying away from betting Loma here. It's giving me PTSD from Loopy versus Angela. Yeah, I'll never forget that fight. I mean, that fight was incredible. I had Loopy parlayed with somebody, Martin Budai, and Budai actually won the fight against Lucas Bresky. I even thought he lost, but that was just probably my worst parlay ever, parlaying up Loopy Godinez there. Flyer on Brazil and bet the over. Yeah, over is actually playable. Like, typically, we're never going to see an over that's playable in a strawweight fight, but here it kind of is. To be out of your mind to bet Loma at minus 300. Yeah, I hope nobody's doing that, but maybe she's a popular parlay piece this week. You never know. Loma TKO. Yeah, I thought about it. I actually did think about it, Moyes. I thought about maybe Loma round 2 or Loma round 3. I really did. But and they're kind of onto it, dude. Like, Loma, these Loma round props are they're terrible. Loma round 2 plus 600 for she's a strawweight. Why is her round 2 props plus 600? Round 3 around plus 900 plus 1,000 for a strawweight fighter? So yeah, I thought about maybe the late props for Loma, but after seeing those prices, no. Because Loma in the Elise Reed fight, I went back and looked at the odds for that fight. Loma round 2 sub was plus 5,500, something crazy like that for the Elise Reed fight. So I feel like we may be overrating her finish ability a little bit here, but that was something I considered. Dogger passing, I'm fine with passing here. Brazil is not used to caliber. She folds under pressure. She does love to fold. That's for sure. Potential fights to go the distance? Yeah, to go the distance. I think a lot of these prelims do. Marcos Arichi Long. I think the Hyder Emil Garcia fight does. I think Wells Griffin does. I think Clark Prochnio does. I think Luke Boomy Brazil does. I think Oki Kwamba can. But I think a lot of this main card does finish. So a lot of the prelims there. Yeah, she doesn't really do anything in there nowadays. Prize picks. I like the more on the Wells takedowns and then the more on the Hyder Emil significant strikes. I agree. She is fragile. The High Al, what's up, Brady? Hope you're having a great week. It's been a hectic week, a busy week, and it's not getting any easier. I still have a lot of work to do for UFC 298. I wanted to tape at least 6 fights today. Loma being priced like she's a much better finisher than she actually is. I think, yeah, she has one finish, at least in the UFC. It was against Elise Reed. But, yeah, like Moyes is saying, she is fragile, Brazil, so we'll see. I could see Bruno Brazil rounding a corner here, but not too confident. Worth a poke. Loma is just too undersized for my liking. That's true. She's undersized against everybody, though, is the thing. So she should be okay here, but minus 300. I don't know. And that she is. Should be a Loma win. It's just minus 300. I don't know. Balaji Oki, Timothy Kwamba. So we didn't get odds on this fight for a while, but we do have them. And yeah, so it's kind of closely lined. So Oki opened up. I don't know if this is true, but it's on BetOnline. Oki opened up minus 105. He's currently minus 180. Timothy Kwamba opened up minus 115, currently plus 155 there. The over-under looks like it's set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 plus 115, the under 2.5 minus 145. I was looking forward to Oki versus Hazovich. I felt like the UFC was like really trying to build this guy up, because if you're really trying to build a fighter up, you're going to give them Damir Hazovich. And this obviously is a step up in competition. I mean, really anybody at this point is a step up in competition from, Damir Hazovich. And yeah, I looked into Kwamba, and yeah, he's a good fighter. I remember this guy from the Contender Series had a good win there. They did not sign him off the win. The only thing I don't like here about Kwamba is he is coming in here on short notice, like very, very short notice. So that could be a concern. But with that said, he did fight just the other day, actually. So this is a fight where, from a DraftKings perspective, it's kind of weird. You got Oki 9,500 and he's priced that way because he was supposed to fight Demir Hadzovic. Now that he's fighting Kwamba, a step up in competition, I'm not sure I really want to get there. So if anything, from a DraftKings perspective, it's Kwamba. And if anything, from a betting perspective, it's probably dog or pass. I think that both these fighters are solid. I think in terms of skill, they're both, fairly even there. Like I said, the only thing I don't like about Kwamba is he is coming in here on short notice. He is going to be a little bit undersized, but he's a good fighter. So we'll see. Don't like the short notice circumstances, but I think this fight could really go either way. Was tempted maybe in like an over. Both these guys look pretty tough. But with that said, Oki does absolutely go after it, and he does leave a lot of openings. But yeah, nothing really sticking out from a betting perspective. Surprised by the odds. Vegas is giving Kwamba some respect. Yeah, a lot of people are on him. A lot of people are on Kwamba this week, believe it or not. I was going to see if Timothy worth a look, but at those odds on short notice, I don't know if I can get there. I'm feeling the same way. I like Kwamba as a fighter. It's just on short notice. I don't know. Loma's going to get submitted by Brazil. A hot take, man. We'll see. That's a hot take. Combination. Best value line on the card. We talking money line. We talking prop. I don't know. I have a couple spots that I like. Couple value lines I like. We'll talk about them. Kwamba can strike moving back. That is a huge edge. Yes, that is a huge edge. Kwamba's hands are fast. I kind of 50-50 on this one. Kwamba's speed, Oki power, something hits. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. 50-50 in terms of like skill set, but like I said, Kwamba coming in here on short notice is kind of the one thing that's just kind of staying away from it. But I think both these guys are solid. Both these guys have solid upside in the UFC, I think. Yep. I mean, he has taken this fight on pretty short notice for what it's worth. Appreciate you, Mick D. Not touching it personally. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So official pick is Kwamba. I don't know, dude. I don't even want to make a pick on this fight. I'm gonna take Oki just because I think because he's on a full camp, but like negative a million confidence on it. Think about fading Oki on DK. I think a lot of people will. I mean, this guy is 9,500 and he's only a minus 180, minus 190 favorite. Add value is Guskov under 1.5 and Ige. You said best value? Guskov under 1.5 and Ige over 1.5. Yeah, I think they both hit. Going heavy on props this Saturday. Yeah, decently heavy. Nothing crazy though. No. I mean, I think Kwamba's super tough. I think it goes to decision actually. If there is a finish though, I think it probably is an Oki knockout, but I think it goes to decision. Balaji's gonna get okie dokied. I don't know what that means, but maybe he does get okie dokied. Kwama's gonna lose this fight. Newcomers not coming from the Contender Series lose 80% of the time. Is that a real stat? If so, interesting. Kwamba will lose. He's not as good of a striker. I think his striking is pretty good, but we'll see. He is coming in here very, very short notice. Lots going against him there. All right, moving on to the featured prelim. We got Carlos Praches going against Officer Trevin Giles. We got Praches as a decent-sized favorite, minus 250. We got Trevin Giles at plus 210. So a spot that I was kind of looking at for this week was the fight won't start round 3 at like minus 148. And then the more I thought about it, the more I think like Trevin Giles probably has like no finishing upside within the first 10 minutes of a fight. The last time Trevin Giles finished somebody was actually in the 3rd round and was against Bavon Lewis. And although, this guy Praches has been finished quite a bit, and his finished losses came a while ago. So I think if this fight does get extended, maybe Giles can win a decision. Like if he grapples, maybe win a decision. But I think Praches knocks him out within the first 2 rounds here. Praches' striking is very good. I've seen him knock out guys with jabs, with knees, with head kicks. And I also wouldn't be shocked if there's like a club and sub here. Trevin Giles has been submitted a lot in his career. Let's see, he's been submitted 3 times in his career, finishing all 5 of his losses. So I just feel like Giles is going to be in danger wherever the fight goes. On the feet, he's going to be in danger of getting, head kicked, caught with the knee. And then on the ground, Prochus is a black belt in his own right. He's been a black belt for a while, I think, has a couple submissions on his record. And like I said, Giles has been subbed quite a few times. So I just feel like Prochus has a lot of ways to win this fight. It's tough to trust a contender series guy who is minus 250 against a UFC veteran in Trevin Giles, but I just feel like Prochus is going to be just more dangerous wherever this fight goes. So instead of the fight won't start round 3, I think Prochus to win in round 1 or round 2 is plus 112. I don't hate that. I don't hate it at all. I think, Prochus does get him out of there within the first 10 minutes. And then I also don't hate like a sprinkle on, Prochus round 2, round 3, maybe even Prochus round 2, round 3 sub because Mearshart sub Giles in the 3rd round, and then as did Cummings. So yeah, a couple spots sticking out here. I haven't played anything yet, but I'm looking at Prochus round 1, round 2, and maybe some late sprinkles, whether it's a round or even the round and sub, because the sub props are pretty juicy there, especially against a guy in Giles who could get club and subbed, could get caught in something as well. But yeah, this should be Prochus here, outside of like one of those, and we've seen it a lot, one of those fraud check type performances out of Trevin Giles. You like Prochus, Marco's moneyline parlay? No, I don't. I don't. I don't. I mean, Marcos, if I was to parlay something, Marcos would probably be in the parlay. Prochus, I think it would replace Prochus with like, I don't even know, maybe Gregory Rodriguez is somebody I feel decent about. It's just parlaying up a contender series guy making their debut. I don't know. A lot can go wrong. We see it all the time. Prochus gets a welcome from Officer Giles. I hope so. Giles did not look confident at the weigh-ins, reached for a handshake fairly quickly. I don't know, body language. That's what I saw. How flipping good was Prochus' striking on Dana White's Contender Series? Phenomenal. He's a phenomenal striker. His striking's crispy. I think he had like 80% accuracy or something in that fight. Excited to watch him. I'm excited to watch him too. And then Moyes brought it up. Most of Prochus' losses are at 155. That is true. Prochus is huge for 170. Getting Gene Silva vibes. I don't know, man. I mean, Gene Silva is just a character of his own. I mean, that guy, something's wrong with that guy in a good way, kind of. Something's wrong with that guy. That was the guy that was barking at his opponent. He had the longest walkout in UFC history. It was like a 10-minute walkout. Something's up with that guy. Marcos and Piper. Okay. I don't hate it. I like Marcos by late finish. His opponent gets dropped a lot. He does. He does. All right, moving on. We got Rodolfo Vieira going against Armen Petrosyan. So I had a couple bets on this fight last time it was supposed to happen. I think there's 2 different ways you can play this fight, to be honest. I think it's like a very binary fight, and you can make a case for both sides. That's typically what it's like with these pick'em type fights. Like a lot of people are going to be on Vieira, a lot of people are going to be on Petrosyan. And yeah, you can make a great case for both those guys. Vieira is kind of where I lean, just due to the fact that, this guy is going to get takedowns. A gust of wind can take down Armen Petrosyan. Armen Petrosyan has a 36% takedown defense, and that's just in the UFC. If you go watch his fights outside the UFC, I kid you not, he's getting taken down in every single fight multiple times. I mean, his takedown defense has just not improved ever. And that's kind of a concern, right? Going against Rodolfo Vieira, who's a elite BJJ black belt. Like, you don't want Vieira on top of you. You don't want Vieira taking your back. And I kind of feel like Vieira is going to get a lot of opportunities. So I think Vieira first, second round sub make a lot of sense. Vieira round 1, round 2 is plus 195. I like that. And then also these Petrosyan late knockout sprinkles they're in play. They're in play just because, Petrosyan, he has power. He's a good finisher. He hasn't showed it in the UFC. I think all of his fights went to decision, but I think there's a huge discrepancy here on the feet between these two. And if Rodolfo Vieira gets tired, Petrosyan's a guy that just lands a ton of volume. I could see Petrosian finishing Vieira in the second or third if Vieira is not able to get him out of there. So the way I played it was I do have a unit on Vieira 1 and 2 plus 195, and then a quarter unit sprinkle on Petrosian round 2 knockout and round 3 knockout. Last time I got the Petrosian round 3 knockout at plus 1600. This time I only got it at plus 1400, and then the round 2 knockout I think is either plus 950 or plus 1,000 around there. So that's kind of how I'm playing it. I think somebody gets served here, whether that's a Vieira early sub or whether that's a Petrosian late KO. But I do like violence in this one from a DraftKings perspective. Both sides are in play. Vieira, you're counting on that early finish / takedown upside. And Petrosian, you're counting on him to survive those first 7.5 minutes, start to take over, and get a late finish. Can we really trust Arman to stuff takedowns? I mean, he's not. He's not stuffing takedowns. It's just not going to happen at all. I mean, Vieira is could blow on him and he'll fall down. I mean, his takedown defense is atrocious. Solid get up game, solid submission defense, but the takedown defense is horrible. Vieira sub, I don't think it's even necessarily needs to be early in Arman decision. I think Arman's live for a late finish. But yeah, Vieira sub is kind of what I'm picking there. Petrosian's get up game is good. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely good. Vieira couldn't look Arman in the eyes. Don't trust fighters who can't look another in the eyes, except the Iron Turtle. I love his face-offs. Didn't even notice that. Vieira sub, more likely. That's what I'm leaning to. Got Uncle Weezy. Oi, what is up, Uncle Weezy? Uncle Weezy gave out his greasy four-legger. It's greasy. I think he had Palga in it, and that's one I don't love, but yeah, he should win outside of getting bonked in the first couple minutes. So shout out to Uncle Weezy. Hopefully we cash some bets tomorrow. Let's hope Vieira isn't blowing on Petrosian. Let's hope not. Let's hope there's no blowing come Saturday. Weird, but Vieira does not have a single decision win, and Arman does not have any good KO wins. I lean towards Arman decision. Maybe it's a weird take. Maybe my take is a little weird there, but we shall see. Vieira over 2.5 takedowns on Prize Picks. I don't know about that because I feel like one takedown and that could potentially be the fight, or one takedown that could potentially be the round. 2.5 is a lot. I don't know. I don't love it. All right, yeah. Let's hope there's no blowing on Saturday. All right, moving on. We got Michael Johnson going against Darius Flowers. Closely lined fight here. We have Michael Johnson minus 140, Darius Flowers plus 120. And I don't know, like, I got to go Michael Johnson here just due to the fact that I was looking through Michael Johnson's record in the UFC, and I kid you not, I truly believe that this is going to be Michael Johnson's easiest matchup on paper. Not saying he wins, but this is his easiest matchup on paper since Edward Falalato back in 2011. What is that? Like 13 years ago? This is Michael Johnson's easiest matchup since Edward Falalato. Since 2011, Edward Falalato went 0-3 in the UFC, all finish losses. And Edward Falalato, I think, is 1-5 all time. I mean, just one of the worst fighters in the UFC. So I think, yeah, it's an easy matchup for Michael Johnson, but at the same time, it's Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson's 21-19. He is the most inconsistent fighter in UFC history. There's not a close second. There's really not. Michael Johnson loses so many fights he should be winning. Michael Johnson loses so many fights he is winning. Just finds a way to lose. And I can't bet on somebody like that. I really can't. But at the same time, Flowers, his path to victory is probably a first-round knockout. And you take a look at Johnson, who's knocking out Michael Johnson, right? Diego Ferreira knocked him out in the second round. If that Diego Ferreira fight didn't happen, I really think Michael Johnson's the much bigger favorite here. But it did happen, and he did get knocked out. But Diego Ferreira knocked him out. Other than that, I mean, Josh Emmett knocked him out. I remember that one. That one was brutal. Justin Gaethje knocked him out. And that's about it. That's about it, guys. And this guy, Michael Johnson, has what? probably like 30 some fights in the UFC. Been knocked out by Gaethje. Been knocked out by Emmett, one of the hardest hitting featherweights in history. Been knocked out by Diego Ferreira. So only 3 times. So I don't know if it's that likely that Flowers is going to go in there and knock out Michael Johnson. With that said, I mean, maybe Michael Johnson finds a way to lose this one. What I do like here is some type of violence, just because Darius Flowers, I don't think he has the best cardio, especially cutting down to 155 for the first time in his entire career. He did miss weight by a quarter pound, ended up making that weight, but I mean, that's got to be tough on the guy, cutting down to lightweight for the first time. He has about a couple minutes of cardio. He has very questionable durability. I was looking at his boxing record. It's like 1 in 10, and he has like 7 knockout losses. That's not good. And then in terms of MMA, this guy has 6 losses, all 6 of them coming inside the distance. So the durability, the cardio is not there for Darius Flowers. So yeah, I think violence is solid. I think the under 1.5 is not terrible. I think the fight won't start round 3 is something I'm going to play, or even like the under 2.5. I don't think is a terrible line as well. Just because Flowers, if he wins, I do think it's early, but I also think Johnson can win this fight early. And I also think Johnson can win this fight, especially if it gets to the second or third round. So unfortunately, I will be betting on this fight in some type of fashion. I was kind of hoping this fight got canceled, to be honest, so I didn't have to bet it. But I mean, there are some spots I do like here. I like violence in this Darius Flowers fight. I think it's Flowers early, or Johnson could be early as well, but late especially. So a fight won't start round 3, under 2.5 is something I'm looking at. I think Johnson by sub is interesting, just due to the fact that Flowers gets submitted all the time, and I could see Flowers like tapping to strikes. I kid you not. And Johnson, I could see like maybe a guillotine. Johnson had a couple of those a long time ago, but still Flowers gets submitted all the time. So Johnson by sub plus 1800, Johnson round 2, 3. Those are the kind of spots I'm looking at for this fight. A lot of spots sticking out in a Michael Johnson fight, and it's extremely terrifying, but we'll see. From a DraftKings perspective, both sides in play. Both sides have good finish upside. You got any parlay legs for this week? No parlays for me this week. The under 1.5 for Breachek Bateria could be a parlay piece. Maybe Daniel Marcos. And that's all I got. Flowers sub plus 1200. I don't think he has great grappling, but maybe Michael Johnson drops the ball so bad that he somehow gets subbed. You never know. Johnson does look insane. I don't know what's going on with that beard that he has. He needs to shape that up a little bit. Yep, agreed. My favorite fight of the night, Go Menace. I have no idea how to bet on this one, though. Yeah, I'll definitely have some bets on this one, unfortunately. Flowers is going to hit Johnson with something hot and ready like Little Caesars, and it's going to be over. Could happen. After the weigh-ins, I have no doubt Johnson by KO. I've been resisting the urge to put huge money on this fight all week. Yeah, I'm probably going to be around 1.5 to 2 units on this one. Just looking for some violence one way or another. Menace defeated. Ferreira still stuck in memory. I hope he wins, but no confidence. Gotta look for a good prop or skip. Michael Johnson's chin has me worried. He may just be entering that category. I mean, I don't think he's a terrible chin. I mean, he's only been knocked out once. He has or only been knocked out 3 times. Yeah, 3 times in 40 fights. I mean, it's not bad. And we mentioned some of the guys that did knock him out. Flowers sub. Does Flowers have any subs? He has 1. I don't even know what a Flowers sub looks like, man. That'd be an incredible call. Rest in peace. I don't think any Flowers fight's going to be boring. At least he's going to bring excitement to the table. There's never been a boring Darius Flowers fight, that's for sure. Tapping to strikes. I'm pretty sure tapping to strikes is a submission. I'm pretty sure, because at least I'm pretty sure it's a sub. You had a bet on a money line here. I was getting ready to tell you how disappointed I am. Yeah, I would never bet on either of these guys. Under 1.5 for the Johnson fight, I think is great value. Yeah, I was looking at the under. The fight won't start round 3, and the under 2.5 as well. Have the Flowers KO parlay with Usher shows a nipple. Gosh, Goodness. I hope Michael wins. He's such a good fighter. Just needs to stay focused and not get knocked out of nowhere. That's the game plan here. But all right, we'll move on. We got Gregory Rodriguez going against Brad Tavares. I like Rodriguez here. A decent amount, actually. I just feel like Brad Tavares, he's getting up there in age, 36 years old. He's taken a ton of damage. He's been hurt a lot. He's been knocked out 4 times. Gregory Rodriguez, I kind of feel like this is a good matchup for him in a sense that he's not going to have to worry about really anything coming back. Brad Tavares is not a power puncher at all, and that's what Gregory Rodriguez typically struggles with, getting knocked out by these guys. So I feel like it's one of those fights where Rodriguez is just going to show Brad Tavares no respect in there, like he did against Jung Young Park, like he did against Julian Marquez, like he did against Chidi Njokwani. And I feel like the durability of Brad Tavares is iffy at this point. So yeah, Rodriguez for me, and Rodriguez inside the distance plus 155. Haven't bet it yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get there on a Rodriguez inside the distance bet. I lean knockout, but I mean, it'd be so annoying if Rodriguez subbed Tavares here after not subbing like Dennis Tuoluen. So I'm just going to go the inside the distance. There's not much of a difference to begin with, but yeah, I think he finishes Brad Tavares. I feel like Brad Tavares is maybe on his way out. I mean, Brad Tavares looked awful in that Weidman fight. I mean, that was a terrible look in that Weidman fight. So, yeah, Tavares for me. I like him on DraftKings, and then I'll probably be betting him inside the distance as well. Brazilian Obama in round 1. Under plus the RoboCop. Yeah, I like it. I faded Rodriguez here. Not confident, though. I don't know if Brad Tavares is that guy, man. I don't know. I mean, if Brad Tavares wins this fight, I don't even know. It's probably a decision first and foremost. Maybe he's able to outpoint him, but I don't know. He struggled with Weidman, so I don't know. Adesanya couldn't finish him. Adesanya is not a finisher. Brad seems to be durable. Yeah, he's durable. He's a durable guy for sure. Are you excited for Valentine's Day? Not really. And how do you not finish a man with no legs? I don't know. I really don't know. RoboCop's got this. Can he sub him? No, I don't think so. I mean, RoboCop has incredible grappling. He just never uses it, and I don't think he's going to here. And Brad Tavares has elite takedown defense, so I don't think so. I think it's a knockout, but like I said, just in case, there's not much of a difference between knockout and inside the distance. That's why I'm going inside the distance. All right, moving on. We got Robert Bricek going against Ihor Potieria, a fight that is somehow on the main card. We have a money line that has crashed down all throughout the week. Bricek opened up minus 275, minus 160 now. Potieria opened up plus 235. He's plus 140. Ihor showed up. He cut down to 185 for the second time in his career on short notice. And surprise, surprise, he missed weight, which it shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, that was incredible that, he was even attempting to cut down to 185. So I'm actually, I think it's impressive that he even got down that much. So, yeah, that was kind of expected to miss weight. I kind of thought Flowers maybe missed weight as well because he was cutting down to 155 for the first time. But, yeah, Potieria couldn't get it done. He looked off on the scale. Not only did he look off on the scale, his beard looked weird. His haircut, he just looked like he needed to hit up the barber. It was a terrible look for Ihor Potieria. Nothing sticking out here. Like the under 1.5 rounds, minus 250. It's chalky, but maybe a potential parlay piece. It's hard to see these guys go in 7.5 minutes, but the way these two fight, especially with Potieria coming in here on short notice, so the under 1.5 minus 250, chalky, but I think it hits. I was looking at maybe some Bricek props after Potieria showed up looking the way he did, but Bricek round 1 KOs like plus 140. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, these props are terrible. They're all over it. They're expecting an early finish. We're all expecting an early finish. So nothing's really sticking out. So Bricek round 1 knockout for me, but nothing's really sticking out other than like the under 1.5 parlay piece. From a DraftKings perspective, solid fight to target. Bricek 8,800. I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned than he should due to this line movement. And then Potieria, you got to play some Potieria. Bricek's very unproven, hasn't fought the best competition, and Potieria did impress in his loss against Rodolfo Bellato. So great fight on DraftKings. From a betting perspective, not much sticking out other than that chalky under 1.5 rounds. I bet Potieria, am I also crazy? No, you're not crazy. I mean, it probably is a dog or pass before the weigh-ins, but Yeah, it is probably dog or pass because Breachek, he's not proven anything. He's not fought good competition. Pateria has fought better competition. Pateria has had some flashes of looking decent. So no, you're not crazy. I don't want to do it, especially after the weigh-ins, but I don't think it's the craziest bet in the world. Ihor can sub him. His opponent's ground game is god awful. Oh, yeah, I've heard some Ihor sub takes this week. Ihor does have a lot of subs. He does have a lot of subs. Bridchek, is his ground game god awful? I don't know because his ground game hasn't been tested in a very long time. Like you go and watch like the last like 5, 6, 7 fights of Bridchek, like they're all finishing in the first round. But yeah, maybe his ground game is awful. We don't know. That hippie Pateria needs to get a haircut. He looks like a beatnik. Yeah, I mean it was a rough look. And if he would have shaved that hair and beard, he might even made weight. Fight doesn't go the distance, minus 800. I mean, it's probably right. Yeah, I mean, it's probably right, but there's nothing you can do with the minus 800. Yeah, you sweating that Bellotto fight? Yeah, absolutely. Any by KO value was crazy high, minus 180. Anything can happen here, I think. Anyone capable of a KO, and it sure does end in one. Well, somebody thinks it's a couple people think it's a sub. I am sleeping on the decision, especially in Ehord. This guy doesn't have 7.5 minutes of cardio, let alone 15. So I think sub is probably more likely than decision, but I think both are kind of unlikely there, to be honest. Recheck by KO. It's Ehor's last fight in the UFC. I hope not. Ehor is exciting. I don't think he's that great, but he's exciting nonetheless. This card is sketchy. Yeah, kind of an understatement there. Pateri at 185 might be a bit different. He was tagging Bellotto. Yes, he was. I don't know if many 85ers survived that. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Yours getting cuts. I hope they don't cut him. He's a fun fighter. Coming in here on short note. Give him one more. Give him one more. All right. Be careful betting the Polish dude. I don't know. I don't think anybody's betting this guy. I haven't seen anybody betting this guy. All I've seen was people betting Pateria, hence why this line just crashed down throughout the week. Yeah, easy pass. At least from a money line perspective, under 1.5 maybe. Next, we got Dan Ige going against Andre Fili. Yeah, Ige is a very popular play this week, and yeah, I like Ige quite a bit. The thing I like about Ige the most in this matchup is two things really. And one is first and foremost is the durability. One of these guys is very durable, and Dan Ige, and then another one of these guys in Feely. I do question the durability. Feely has been finished quite a few times. Feely's been finished 5 times in his 10 losses, so finishing half his losses. We've seen him dropped a ton. We've seen him hurt a ton, and Dan Ige hits like a truck. And what I like about Dan Ige in this matchup, I don't think Feely's going to wrestle. Should he wrestle? Yes. Does he have wrestling in his back pocket? Yes. But Feely hasn't wrestled in like literally 5 years. Like the last time Feely went out there and wrestled was against Charles Jourdain, which really shouldn't even count. I mean, Charles Jourdain doesn't have any takedown defense. So yeah, if you're expecting Feely to wrestle here, I think you're going to be very disappointed. I think these guys are going to stand and bang. And I trust the more durable guy in Ige. I trust the harder hitting guy in Ige. I trust the guy with the better striking defense in Ige. So I think an Ige knockout is very much on the table. It's plus 320. I think at the very least he's dropping Feely. So yeah, plus 320. I don't hate that. Ige inside the distance even is plus 250. We've seen Feely knocked out. We've seen him subbed. So yeah, I think these violence props on Ige are very juicy considering, this guy's like a minus 180 favorite now. Minus 170 favorite. So yeah, give me Ige and then an Ige, some type of Ige inside the distance bet, I think, on this one. I bet Ige should get it done. Ige 7-1 is a betting favorite in the UFC. Only loss in that spot was to the Korean Zombie. Yeah, I bet Korean Zombie's a dog in that one. But yeah, it's a great record as a favorite. Seems like a cut and dry Ige decision. I'm actually leaning knockout, but yeah, the decision's probably the most likely scenario, at least according to the odds. Ige and Joey Pfeiffer, co-main and main are by far my most confident picks. Andre and Jack's durability, both questionable. Yeah, true. Both are. Ige all day, not sure about a finish though. May take a flyer on the inside of the distance. Yeah, I might as well. We'll see. I don't see a finish. I definitely don't see Feely getting finished. That's for dang sure. Or for I don't see Ige getting finished. Nobody's finishing Dan Ige ever. But Feely gets finished a ton, man. Like he gets finished a lot, and he gets hurt a lot as well. Why decision? Ige drops a lot of people. Yeah, he dropped Nate the Train twice. He hurt Bryce Mitchell a couple times as well. Went pretty hard on the main event. I did as well. We'll talk about that. All right, guys, we'll move on a little bit over on time. I'm gonna miss the birthday party. I gotta go to a birthday party. I'm gonna miss it. We got Joe Pfeiffer going against Jack Hermanson. We got Joe Pfeiffer is the second biggest favorite on the card, I believe, behind. Actually, no, he's like the fourth. Gregory Rodriguez minus 250. Daniel Marcos minus 265, and then we got Loma Luke Booney minus 300. So the fourth biggest favorite on the card. Um, so yeah, I mean, my pick here is Joe Pfeiffer. Joe Pfeiffer to win in the first or second round by knockout. But I posted on Twitter Monday. I'm like, man, I think Joe Pfeiffer probably wins the fight. But I mean, these Jack Hermanson late props are incredible. Like they're incredible. Joe Pfeiffer, this guy's not seen a third round in like 6 years. He's been to a third round once in 14 fights. Like, what does his cardio look like if this fight was to hit the third round? What is it like if it hits the fourth round, the fifth round? What happens if this fight's in the third, fourth, or fifth round? Joe Pfeiffer's tired and Jack Hermanson gets on top of him. Jack Hermanson, great ground and pound, great jiu-jitsu. The problem with Jack Hermanson, I think, is the kind of the physicality, not good wrestling, not good durability. He's getting up there in age. Has a little bit of a layoff. So, yeah, I think the most likely scenario is Pfeiffer does go out there and knock him out early. But, I did sprinkle some of these 3, 4, and 5 from Hermanson props, just at ridiculous prices. And I don't think they moved much. Round 4, 3,300. Round 5, 3,500. And then round 3 plus 2,200. Like, if this fight reaches the third round, I'll feel really good about those, to be honest. But I think Pfeiffer probably does knock him out early. My favorite bet here is the fight won't start round 4 or the under 2.5. The fight won't start round 4. I got it at minus 164 for 2.5 units. The under 2.5 is, I think, minus 141. I like that because, like I said, I mean, Pfeiffer, if he's finishing this fight, I think it's early. Pfeiffer hasn't seen a third round in 6 years. So, and we're in the small cage. Yeah, I think this fight does end pretty early. But if it doesn't, those Hermanson props will be live late down the stretch. So that's how I'm playing it. From a DraftKings perspective, both sides definitely in play. Pfeiffer, you're looking for the KO 1-2. And then Hermanson, you're looking for a 3-4-5 decision type fight. And there's not a ton of salary saving plays I like. So Hermanson, I do have a decent amount. I think I went like 60-40 in terms of the main event there. Should be an incredible fight. Difference between Hermanson decision and the 3-4-5. I just struggle to see Pfeiffer going 25 minutes. I mean, he's never even been to the fourth round is the thing. Pfeiffer bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, hits harder. All those are true. Jack has no power and 36 coming off surgery. Don't overthink people. Yeah, should be Pfeiffer early. I love Hermanson here. The more it goes, the more interesting. That is true. That is true. I'm picking the same thing. Pfeiffer second round stoppage. Pfeiffer could fight gun shy here, maybe. That's not really his style, though. He kind of wants to come forward and land big shots. He didn't break. Yeah, that's the talk of the town this week. Did he break and gun his record or not? Jack went to split decision with Sean Strickland. Reminder, he did, but I mean, I don't know what judge scored that one for Hermanson. I still remember Marvin dropped Jack with one jab. Joe will knock him out. Yeah, the durability is a big issue for Hermanson at this point. I think Joe bullies Jack here. The split, yeah, it was I mean, the judges really got that one wrong. Just to recap, everyone, Brady said to round Robin Loma and put her in all your parlays. She's super safe. Yeah, yes, she is. What do you think about decision? No bet. Parlay Marcos, Robocop, Ige plus 200. I like the Ige one a lot. Robocop, sure. I mean, I'd honestly laugh if Tavares knocked out Robocop after not knocking out Weidman. Marcos, yeah, I think they're all fine. think they're all fine. Hermanson by knee bar. Hopefully in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. The judge that scored it for Hermanson was Saldamonov. Of course it was. Of course it was. He's had some wild scorecards in the past. Just some wild scorecards. I mean, yeah, anything could happen. Anything could happen. I think the worst case scenario would be like a Jack early finish. I think, yeah, if Jack gets an early finish, I think it's gonna hurt a lot of people. Brady, like always, how many finishes on this card? I don't think we have a ton, to be honest. I think a lot of these prelims go to decision. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll say 7 finishes out of 14. I'll say half the fights go to decision, half finish there. But yeah, guys, there you have it. Be on the lookout for my betting breakdown video. I know I didn't talk about a ton of bets I have. That's because I haven't finished up my card yet. Right now, I do have the fight won't start round 4 and the Piper Hermanson fight with those Hermanson crazy late sprinkles. And then I also have the Vieira round 1 and round 2 with the Petrosian late sprinkles. I'm looking to add like a Dan Ige, maybe a knockout prop, maybe if that. Maybe the under 1.5 in some sort of fashion in the pre-check fight, but probably not. Rodriguez inside the distance, maybe. Violence in the Michael Johnson fight, whether that's the fight won't start round 3, the under 1.5 or the under 2.5, maybe some Johnson late sprinkles, maybe a sub shot, and then maybe Prochess round 1 or round 2 with maybe some late sub sprinkles. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have too much action on this card. I wanted to keep it a lot lighter than I probably am, but there are some spots sticking out. Sketchy card, but there's some spots sticking out regardless. Appreciate you, Andre. Round 7, yeah, 7, 8 finishes would be cool. Yeah, I need to start saying fighters' names wrong more often. You guys love it, dude. Like I got probably 20 comments about I think I called Chris Weidman Matt Weidman. I got Matt Wyman and Chris Weidman like mixed together, and like I got like 20 comments about it. So maybe I'll do that next week, get another name completely wrong. You gonna sprinkle against Loma? I can't bet Bruna Brazil, man. She just looks terrible. But best of luck if you are. I mean, it is probably a dog or pass. Best of luck, Wheezy. Leave a like, agree. We'll talk to you guys soon. Be on the lookout for the betting breakdown video. Best bet tomorrow, 2:00 Eastern time, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. See you later. It's not ending. Awkward. I wish I had like an outro. Okay, there it goes.